Take it easy.
Let's start then. Today, guys, we've got on our good friend Dave Chudley. We're going to discuss normal topics as usual and a few questions from Instagram. Hilly, do you want to start off?
Instagram.
Who wants to start off?
Chudley's just done his show. Let him update us on stuff, eh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, oh, mate, I mean, we started off like just before we start recording, but what a fucking shit show that was, to be fair. I'll kind of like just give a brief overview over the prep, just because, like, obviously people don't follow me, they don't know. But I started off really fucking fat. So I started off at 275, which I shouldn't have pushed at that.
I didn't think you were
anyway.
that fat, man. Like, you were soft, but like the shape was there. Like you were still quite shapely.
No,
you know?
because I'll show you. Because, mate, you know what it's like, right? When you pull your shorts up to halfway up your fucking
Yeah.
and you're in the gym and you get a pump, it's different to compare to when you genuinely show. Because I'll show you a picture that I'm about to post on Instagram, like a comparison, when it's actually true, like represents like how you actually look. And the thing is, for me, we show what we want to show. So for me, right, I hold really quite a lot of vascularity in my legs all year long. I could be fat as fuck, and my calves like look peeled just because I just don't hold body fat in my calves and my quads. I don't, right? But right, so look at this. So this is like when I at the show day. Look at this, right? Look how fucking fat my stomach, my waist is, right? Look how fat, like lower back.
True.
So again, we show what we want to show.
Yeah.
So yeah, when you pull your shorts up and you hit a lat spread, and it's like, yeah, it looks all right because you're hiding it, but really it is fat. And like again, like obviously Louis he likes that sort of stuff. If you see his physique, he's kind of like he'll push up to like 300 pounds. And I said to him, like even before that, I said like, look, I've never done that before, but let's give it a shot. But nah, never again, mate, because you've got to kill yourself to fucking get in shape. And at that point, you're still not in shape. But, like, I pulled 60 pounds in 12 weeks. That's £5 a fucking week.
Yeah.
And you got to, mate, on cardio, we started off cardio pretty much at an hour on a Stairmaster.
Isn't that mental? Like no matter, like I just put myself in like a coach's shoes, like with my guys, and I stick to the old philosophy. If we're shooting or dropping any more than £2 a week, I'm feeding you up. Like that's just the way that I run. And then I benchmark their shows around my potential goal weight. Does that make sense for them?
Yeah. I mean,
just push the shows back.
I can see a merit at the start because, look, when you start super fucking fat, you've got plenty of energy. You've still got energy to train. You know, you're not going to lose muscle because you've been on cruise. So you go back on cycle. You've got energy to train, you know, so fair enough to start, and you pull off a load of body fat to start. But as you start to, it's just time that you're on. So you just fatigue, you know.
Chudley, was it your first show?
Yeah.
See, because the other problem is, I've dropped £50 in 10 weeks before.
Yeah.
My condition was fucking bang on, but it wasn't my first show. I think there's a big difference here of if you've done a few shows and you've been all the way down before. In my experience, you don't hold fat the same. When it's your first time, those love handles, those glutes, the hamstrings, there's fat on there that you need to sit down low and then force it off over time. So I think it is, dropping £60 in 12 weeks, it's never ideal. It's doable, but I think it's not doable for a first timer that's never been all of the way down. I think that's the big difference.
No, I mean, he has been lean before.
But there's lean and then there's It's so what my theory is, the stubborn fat around your love handles, your glutes, your hands, that's like the thick brown fat. And for me, unless you've had it all off, it doesn't come off easy. And certainly not the first time.
Because like I had lines in my glutes, but like my stomach. I was talking to Riz about this, like, throughout the prep. Like, my stomach, I had no fucking abs still, but I had, like, lines in my glutes. Then my feedback on the PCA was like, they were like, your glutes were a strong point. I was like, how the fuck do you get and, you know, it's all relative, but, like, my glutes were leaner than, like, some body parts that normally come in a lot quicker.
Yeah, I think everyone gets that. But I think you're like me as well, Chudley. I think you have very shallow abs like me. Like I've spent the best part of 18 months, and I'm not even joking. I can't count on one hand how many ab sessions I've missed since my last showing just because of that fucking reason.
Yeah.
But
Really,
I
yeah.
think everyone holds fat differently. But going back to what Hilly said, like I was the same. Like I had the fattest ass, didn't I, Hilly? Like
Yeah.
full blown brown fat, didn't want to come off. And even the first showing, we didn't get it off. The second show we did, but like I destroyed my look, I think, pushing to get to that point. But I also know now I've
It'll
gone
be there
up
next time.
60 pounds and I still got lines in my ass, my fucking hamstrings.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's just a case of digging out, putting it back on, digging it out, putting it back on.
I think I was lucky in a way. The guy I worked with for my first show a long time ago, he was an American kid. Do you know the picture you see on Instagram where it gives you the body fat examples of 15, 12, 10,
Yeah.
and it goes down to like fucking 2? He was the guy that they used for the picture of 2. The kid was known for being a roadmap. Right? He died. He's dead now. From God knows what he was doing. The first prep I did was 16 weeks. I ate the same 6 meals every fucking day for 16 weeks. I didn't get any cheat meals, no high carb days, no nothing. He just increased my cardio and increased my drugs.
Yeah.
And I looked worse at the end than I should have done. But you could see where my glutes inserted into my arms. And I am very much of the belief that, like what Dex just said, everybody needs to take a diet where you almost make yourself look worse to get all of that fat off.
It's
So
like when you get a
it's
new
being
client.
removed.
It's like when you get a new client, innit? Most of the time, you have to always bring them down.
Yeah.
And they often look a bit
So
shit.
that's kind of what Dan Bastick was saying as well, because he goes, look, my first show, I'm not going to look my best because he's like, I haven't been in shape for so long. So he goes, I'm probably going to look my worst or worse in the first show and then later on start to look better just because he hasn't been in shape for so long.
I think that, hey, my first show I did with you back in like fucking years back, we cut off weight rapid, yeah? Because obviously I met him late and it was like you, Chudley. I met him, 6 weeks out, and I was like, listen, I need to be in shape. I already dropped 3 fucking stone. Still couldn't see nothing. And that day on stage, it was, bro, a very similar look to yourself. I'd probably say fucking way worse. And that year we did a big rebound. And that year we came back a year later, same weight, bigger, leaner, harder. And
It is good though. I think it's all learning curves, and that's the best bit. Like you said, Dave, like you have like an idea of what you can look like. But I think when you get it all off and you get on stage, that exposes you. I think that's where you're like, look, this is what I need. This is me stood next to another human being of the same size. This is what I don't look like in an Instagram photo. And I think from there, like for you, it's just the only way is up. But I think shape structure-wise, mate, it's all fucking there. I think obviously you've got some gnarly quads, haven't you?
I tell you what, though, I think that the peak didn't help because, like, I'll run you through the peak as well, but like a peak, sometimes like, you're better off just, not sometimes, most of the time, especially if it's your first show, it's just better to just like cruise and do as little as possible. Instead, right, the whole prep, we did barely any refeeds. The 2 or 3 refeeds that we done they were like 400 carb, right? So at 1 week out, we're like, right, so 3 days back to back at 850 carbs. So double the carbs to what we normally do. Or
3 days, 3 days back to back.
Yeah.
1,700 grams. Yeah.
Stupid as it is for a start.
850 carb, yeah. With insulin, listen, insulin.
Was that Atlantis and Nova or one? Both.
So we did that. But my water went from like 4 to 5 liter in prep to like 10. So double the water. The salt, I used to do 3 grinds. We went to like 6 to 7.
Did you do that just for peak week?
Yeah.
So you didn't increase your salt before then at all?
No, my salt was like, I kept it constant. I did 3 grinds with every meal.
Well, what you want is sorry, I'll let you finish, Chudley, first. Sorry, you keep.
So then touch on the salt first. Touch on the salt first.
For me, the whole idea is to have salt high, and then if you want to manipulate it, you reduce it. But to get that effect, the salt needs to be high for an extended period of time. So really what you want is, say, so I'm 4 weeks out now, and I normally use grinds of salt. Now, and I do that with clients. I'm like, make sure you use the same salt grinder all of the time.
Yeah.
But it won't be until 3 or 4 weeks out I'll say to the client, Now I want you to make sure you are using the exact amount of sodium across the board. Don't just wing it. So the same grind is fine, but
Yeah.
just wing it. Just make sure it's accurate. And then if you go to mess about with sodium, it's your body is adjusted the big clever words, right? Aldosterone levels in that. That's all leveled out now, and that takes a while to level out.
Yeah.
Once it's leveled out, then you can reduce it to it cause the increase in the water coming out. But if you get a Monday the week of the show and you increase it, your body's going to start holding fucking water straight away.
Yeah.
It's not going to level out, and
It
then
will just cling to it. It will hold it. It will want to cling to it. Like,
but
Yeah.
and I can see maybe a random theory of doing that to try and increase water retention and then drop it off, which is backwards in itself for me anyway. But doing up and down in a week, you're just causing the most random fluctuations. Never mind adding in all the carbs and then the insulin.
So last year when I done my own diet, like I just done exactly what you said, I went from 6,000 milligrams, because I used to do a little pot where I'll just measure out my salt first thing. And I know it's a little bit anal, but I saw Cuba do it. I was like, sounds interesting. I'll just try it. 6,000 milligrams. Then I went to 8 and then I went to 10. And I started to get fuller and fuller and fuller as I dieted down more and more and more. And that worked well. But yeah, this year I just kept it consistent the entire time. That's what I was told to do. So I just kept it consistent. And then that last week is when we upped it. So obviously the carbs being really high, the water going up really high, the salt going up really high, the insulin going in. What else did we do? So I added some Halo as well the last week because I wasn't taking. I pretty much I did my blood work like 2 weeks out. My blood work came back really good, and my liver enzymes were like 60. I was like, sweet. I was like, I know. So I was like, I could use a little bit of Halo. I got a feeling my Halo is like oxy or something because I started to like in that 1 week of changing all that. So my lowest weight was 212. I went up to like 228. So I gained like 15 pounds.
Man, it's a rebound.
Yeah,
you know what though, Dave? I think you did have that look of like insulin loading. Does that make sense? You almost had like a subcutaneous type bloating, and I could see it in your upper, not necessarily your legs because they were quite dry, but especially like for your pecs and stuff, I could see that kind of like we've driven some glycogen and fluid in here. Does that make sense? It's not like a crisp look; it's more like a bubbly look. But I think this is a really good subject to touch on now for people who listen to this who've never competed before and have new coaches. Like these sodium manipulations, fluid manipulations, there's a time and place for them. But like you're talking, in my opinion, like an experienced competitor who is there completely diced, and you make micro adjustments to polish the look. If you are 98% there, it's pointless. Cruise in. There's no need for it. If you are 100% on and there's a potential you could be 5% better, it's still a risk. I think that's when you can start manipulating sodium, playing with aldosterone, playing with fluid, really starting to create a look. Exactly.
Still fat as well, so that can only actually make them look worse.
Yeah.
So then at that point,
just to touch on that, probably makes sense to what you said before, though. If you noticed that, or Deck, if you noticed that you were looking softer through the upper but not the lower, and you said that you felt there was still probably more fat there, because you still had the fat there, when you've done all of this, your upper body fat, that's accumulated the water, which is why you've got softer there.
Yeah, that's where the water went.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So then we're like, right, Friday comes, and Louis like, well, we got to use a diuretic now because obviously
15 Diazide, go.
We did Diazide for 2 days. I'm still fucking chugging in water because of like
fucking Lasix at that fucking point, bro.
Oh, like I'm still chugging in water. I'm still dehydrated. Because do
you feel like shit now, Dave? How do you feel like pump wise? Do you feel full?
I feel fucked.
Yeah, I bet.
I can't sleep. And you know, I didn't even take the piss yesterday because I knew that if I went fucking heavy on the sodium post show, I'm like, right, I'm gonna stay clean today. I took the piss a little bit more today, but not yesterday. I'm like, I need to hold off and not fucking be a pig.
This is the other thing I don't get is, see, with all of my clients, and I've done this for a long time, everything that I think I might do in peak week, I do in my trials. So if I think I might manipulate sodium when we do a high carb day, I might manipulate sodium. Some clients, I get the point. So like, I've got a guy in Japan now. He's a bit ahead. So last week and this week, we are running a full 2-day load. And then does he need a dry out day? Does he not manipulating water, manipulating sodium? So I can get all of this feedback. So by the time this show week comes, He's already gone through the process. I've already got the feedback. We know exactly what works, what doesn't work, and then it's just little manipulations on the day.
Yeah,
And then
and that's
that way there's no, and I've done this with Grace, we've done it with Deck, I do it with everybody. And I got that from Scott Stevenson when I worked with him maybe 10 years ago. He does the same thing. It's a very anal approach, but it's good for the competitor because you've already walked through the fucking process, especially for a first timer. So there's no stress. And for me, I've got a local client. We tried. He did something similar to the kid in Japan. The kid in Japan woke up after a burger and fries, looked dynamite. He was bloated, gassy. He didn't. So I know that. So the next one we did, he just got salmon and potato. Woke up the next day and looked dynamite. So I'm already trialing all of these, and based on the fluid and whatnot, we can see, does he need something extra to dry out? Does he need an extra day? Does he not? So by the time you get in there, I've already got a game plan written out, and then you're checking it every day, morning and night. And like I say, we've done the same with Riz, same with Deck. And I think it's probably more important for a first timer than it is for anybody else because you've never gone through the fucking process. You don't know what you do, and you don't know how your body responds. And it wants to be simple, but it still wants to get the most results. But if you've gone through it and you're comfortable with it, and I've got the feedback, I say this to clients all the time, my whole goal is to take away all of the stress for show week. So all you've got to do is enjoy it. You know what you do, and you're ticking the boxes, and then you can enjoy it. But my first show, we hadn't done any trials. He just gave me this fucking template to follow, and I hated the whole week because I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what my body was going to do, and I vowed that I would never have that done with anybody else I work with because you want to enjoy the running of the show, especially your first one.
I think one thing that a lot of people overlook is something that me and you used to, Hilly, and I used to love doing it in prep. You weigh yourself at night, weigh yourself in the morning, yeah? And I'll fucking log how much weight I drop overnight. Bro, I drop, even in off-season, I dropped 13 pounds overnight, yeah? And I always have, bruv. And I will I go 4 pisses every night, yeah? So when Hilly knew, he put a diazide in me in prep, mate, it's game fucking over, yeah? Even a quarter, bro, my body just drops water overnight. It holds in the day, and it drops at night. But I think a lot of people need to track that, because then when you actually start to, like Jay Cutler even says, once your night time is very close to your morning time, you know you're motherfucking ready, bruv. Because there's nowhere to hold water anymore. What I mean?
I did it with my lad that went out and won the PCA Classic. Like, he was a first timer, and but he's very athletic, had fantastic genetics. We got him fucking pilled, like diced. But at 4 weeks out, I pushed the peak so hard to see how long it would take to ruin his look. So, like, we were doing basically high days until he looked like a bag of dicks, basically. And then I tracked from how many days he dried out until he was perfectly full from there. Got into the show. I did the exact same thing again, changed absolutely nothing. It mirrored what happened last time, walked on, smoked everyone, won the overall, and then now to McDonald's just before he got back on stage. Like, if you do too many things or change too many things, you're just going to fuck the look. Like, it's so easy to track data, replicate what's going to happen on show day, bar from stress, and just mirror it, you know?
I think because last time me and Hilly nailed it, yeah? But my man said to me, you're going to be on stage at 1 o'clock. And we would fucking do the trial peaks, mate, on the weekends to be at 1 o'clock.
Yeah, that's smart, because then you it's predictable.
Anytime
you do something too drastic and it just makes it unpredictable, throws it all off.
Yeah, and when your show does run on time and you do that method there, you know, I had 3 meals last week. We're about to come on stage. It's early today. Let's have 2. And you know the look's going to be perfect. I think people just don't want to invest that time.
Or you just don't be retards like me and Hilly were last time, my fault, where we did a peak load every week for 7 weeks? Like, I was so far ahead. And then we got to show day. I was like, Hilly, mate, I'm so full. I don't need a 5 guys. He's like, you fucking sure? I was like, mate, I am bursting fucking full. Sent him a picture and I was. Woke up in the morning flat as a fucking pancake because we don't have the 5 guys.
Lesson learned, always have your 5 guys.
One thing that I've learned in peak week is, just shut your fucking mouth, yeah?
I know. Facts, mate.
And your bro, because that year that he fucked up, I fucked up too, yeah? Big time. I was backstage sending him pictures, right, Hilly, yeah? I was like, bro, stay at home. Don't come to this one. I got it myself. I got it, yeah? D's with me, blah, blah, blah. I'm sending him my man pictures in 20 different lightings. I'm like, bro, I'm fucking flat. You don't fucking know what's happening. They put white man tan on a black guy, yeah?
Brown guy.
On a fucking brown guy, bro. The same thing, yeah? And bro, I sat backstage, yeah? He's like, bro, you got to carb up. Because he doesn't know what's happening. I'm sending him shit pictures. My head's already gone, yeah? And I just sat there eating. But he goes, eat all your carbs. He didn't know how much carbs I had in the bag. I had about fucking 500 grams, but the whole physique went to shit, bro.
Well, this was the thing. Like Louis didn't get to the show until I was basically coming off stage. So
Yeah, allow
they're
that.
like, you know, when they like hand out the medals and they're like, oh yeah, so like hit your last shot. I hit my last shot, and that's when it turns up. So I was kind of like, oh okay. So you couldn't see me anyway. And like you said, like I can send him pictures, but like one time I'll send him pictures outside. Next time I'll send him pictures like inside the show venue. Then I'll send him pictures in the toilets when we're putting a tan on, and it's like 10 different lightings. How the fuck are you gonna tell?
But this is why I like to do so much work beforehand, because a lot of the time, I know it's trendy at the moment for people to be at shows so they can create YouTubes and shit. And I think being there in person sometimes can make it worse, especially because if a client's panicking or freaking out, or they think that everybody's giving you opinions. For me, what I find works very well is if we've accumulated, like Dex in there, we did the same thing every fucking week. We knew what worked. Now, if I wasn't there, but if I'd have just not listened and I'd have been like, listen, I know you might look full in that picture, but we know you drop overnight, just eat the fucking Five Guys.
Yeah.
Everything would have been fine. I've been at shows with Riz, and Riz is like, Hilly, I'm getting flat. And if someone's with you in your face and you've got other people talking, you can end up with a skewed opinion. I find that, listen, we've done this all of the time, nothing's changed. Just fucking crack on. I've had clients win shows all over the world when I haven't been there. Most of the best coaches in the world have clients fucking winning fucking Olympias and stuff sometimes, and they're not there in person. I think that there isn't a need to be there holding someone's hand, as long as the client knows how to give the right feedback.
Correct.
And that's very important. See, for me, I'm big on a scale weight as much as I am on pictures. Now, like Jordan doesn't like a scale weight. He likes to just go off pictures in general. Where for me, because there's so much variance in lighting. So, for example, I had a client win the first time last year. He got to his apartment and the lighting was fucking terrible. And it was 8 o'clock at night. So he couldn't go outside. We couldn't find good pictures anywhere. Him and his bird, he was getting that stressed. I was like, just stop and sit down now, because you're going to end up looking worse. I was like, get on the scales. I was like, right, last night you looked on the fucking money in your normal lighting at, say, 90 kilos. What do you weigh? 90 kilos. Have you eaten a fucking Domino's or anything? No. Right. So, never mind what the fucking lighting says. Let's stop stressing. You were on the money last night at 90 fucking kilos. You're 90 kilos now, you're going to be on the money. When he woke up the next day, outside, normal lighting, he was on the money. Whereas if we hadn't been logging his weight on a night and on a morning, and we were relying on pictures, and it's 8 o'clock at night and you can't find any decent pictures, then what do? You're pissing in the fucking wind. Whereas if you've got pictures and you've got data and you've got all the analytics and everything else, you can sometimes make the best decision in the fucking dark, as long as you've got the data and it's right. So I just think it's about working with the client and making sure that they know what they need to be giving you and when. Like, I had a client go to compete in London before. He forgot his weight scales. He forgot his food scales. I was like, mate, what the fuck's going on here? I was like, oh, fucking hell. I said, you may as well have forgot your phone as well. Do you know what I mean? So it's making sure everybody's prepared and on the same page, I think. Let me just turn a light on, boys. 2 seconds.
No, trust me.
I text Hilly calling that kid a cunt for getting his scales, and I competed the month after, and I did the exact same thing.
Bro, Asda's got cheap ones for like a tenner. And sometimes I always tell the client, and you know what? Because I always say to people, I'm like, have you got scales? And they're like, no, I haven't got scales. I'm like, what? Whatever, like, what the fuck? But I'm like, go to Asda's and get some scales. I'm like, they got cheap ones, and they'll get literally the cheapest ones that are like not even digital. The thing that moves. I'm like, and they'll send you I'm like, what do you weigh? And like 94 kilos. I'm like, 94 what? 94 and what? But that just tells you 94.
Yeah. So what's the plan for you, Dave? Obviously, what was I think it's a good part of the process for the viewers to understand. What was the feedback like with Louis? Did you have a chat, post-game rundown? What went wrong? What went right? What are you going to do next?
Obviously, we had a chat, but as soon as I come off stage, it was like, look, because we'd used DirectX, I said to him, look, I'm not going to do Exeter now this weekend because, for one, I hadn't trained legs since that Sunday, so I would have had to train legs today or wherever. And when you use DirectX, it's even harder. Plus, I wasn't lean enough to begin with, so it's not like in a matter of under a week we can produce a better look. So then at that point, it's waiting until the Northwest, which is in 3 weeks. But at that point, I'm not even thinking about that. I was kind of just thinking, I just need a couple of days to kind of like relax and then decide what I want to do from that point. Now my options are: I go back into prep now, I take the rest of the body fat off, go back, compete, or, which I think is probably better because I feel so burnt out from having done that diet. And again, it wasn't a long diet; it's a 12-week diet, but we took off so much weight, so much fucking cardio. I just feel that the thought of training at the minute is just, I just could not think of anything worse.
Bro, if the love is not there, then leave it. That's the honest truth, man.
So literally, take a couple of weeks off, not a couple of weeks off, but take like this week off, then go back into, well, I've already gone back onto my kind of cleaner diet. Do like a mini sort of like, almost like a rebound push up, like a mini off season, and then go back into another prep and go and do the shows towards the back end.
I'd be focused really on staying as lean as you can, me.
Yeah.
Focus on staying as lean as you can, getting healthy, getting fresh, getting your enjoyment back. The leaner you stay, the more that you can dig at the bits that hadn't gone last time. If you're going to compete, makes all the sense in the world. That I would say anyway.
Was that the planned show, Dave? Like, was it that show you wanted to do? Like, you set a date, 12 weeks, we're gunning for it.
So look at the start of this. So this was the thing, right? We had no plan. We kind of started. So we started prep, right? And I'm like, right, I'm kind of thinking roughly I can be ready for like Exeter. That's what I even said that to Dan, like at the first ever podcast that we've done. Exeter was like the first like show that we sort of planned. And then we started dieting, and then he was kind of like, yeah, let's not rush. Let's just kind of like see how we do. And then we eased off. And now the plan was, oh, well, we don't have to push that hard because we're not even going to... We started looking at shows at like June. So like the PCA Hampshire. And then everyone, like all my mates were like, oh, nah, why would you wait that long? It's like, so I was kind of like, oh, yeah, no, fuck this. Let's go back into it. So it was almost like it went really aggressive, then pull back down, and then really aggressive. And it's just like, it was like a yo-yo prep. Like the entire prep was like really scatty. It wasn't like, right, this is the show we're going to do. That's the map. And then let's do it. It was more like we weren't sure. And I mean, at one point I even thought about doing the Saxons, which was like the week before.
Because I remember watching your Instagram, because I'm a proper Instagram pervert, and I was like, why is he doing no carbs and looking like death face about a show date? And then I noticed you were eating up. I was like, oh, he's probably done this a good idea. I thought you were digging out, eating up, freshening up, digging out, and going again. But then I was like, oh, he's actually getting on fucking stage today.
I didn't even know, bro. I didn't even know he was doing that show.
Yeah, because like I said, Louis was like, oh, fuck it, let's just do it. You know, and it was like 2 weeks. We had to kind of, from the point that we'd actually gone back up. And when I say gone back up, it was like, because the thing is, 10 days on zero carb and like an hour of Stairmaster and 20,000 steps is going to get you fucking flat.
Sure, yeah.
I think what you should have done was, if you're saying he wasn't ready, I would have simply just carried on, rolled in flat, and let the lighting do its thing. That's honest. I would not have done no peak, nothing. I just rolled like as a normal fucking day. I think it would have looked better.
Yeah.
To be honest, that PCA lighting, there's been pictures of me, doing front lat spread in the hotel room with Hilly, look like fucking shit. He was like your sound. Got on stage, hit it, everything popping. So sometimes, do you know what I mean? Just gotta get under that bad boy lighting, man. Sometimes
I think it's more of a kind of learning for Louis as well, because he's never actually put anyone on stage. Like, so that's
okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's almost it's learning for him. But yeah, it's almost like we had no set plan where let's do this and that's the show we do. It was more like, oh, let's just kind of see. And yeah, it was just really fucking like weird prep.
Did you enjoy it though?
Mate, yeah, I enjoyed it because it was like kind of like digging really hard at times, and it's kind of, that's fun. It's almost like I felt like at times it was like I didn't feel like I was dieting, and other times you just feel like death.
Yeah, the energy comes in waves, doesn't it? It goes and then it's gone again.
But can you imagine, if you checked in, chatting to these both, checked in with your coach, He was like, yeah, might do this show, might do that. I say to Martin, fuck you, bro. If you're not thinking I'm ready, then fuck off, innit?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because what my coach said to me, if Hilly said to me, we're going to get ready for fucking PCA Manchester September, I'm saying to you, bro, it's on you to get me in shape now. If he said to me at 12 weeks, oh, we might do the fucking Essex one, I'd be like, bro, what you doing?
It's the narrative of, fuck it, let's do that show. Like, that shows inexperience to me. Like, I've done a couple of shows, but even I understand how much it takes out of you on that day. Getting on stage, posing, the pressure, the stress, the tan, all that sort of stuff. It's never a fuck it. You have to be a seasoned pro that's got all that shit fat off, that can cruise in the show and happy walking around like a fucking zombie. They can say, oh, fuck it, I'll jump into this one. And yeah, exactly. Someone like that who's done 10, 15, 20 shows. They can get in shape very easily. And potentially they have enough muscle, like a lot of guys, like Dan as an example, can roll in 8 weeks out and win a show. Like, when you're at that stage of muscularity, that's cool. You know what I mean? But when it's like, when you're digging out and you don't have the muscle, like, you need to be full, you need to be peaked. Like, it's never just a case of, fuck it, let's just jump on a show, because it just destroys you mentally.
Yeah, you got to be on point. Yeah, you got to be on point.
I think the other problem,
you got to be 100%.
I think the other problem is, though, if it's your first time and you don't have a fixed date and a fixed focus, it leaves you with so much left to guess. Like, I just think for someone that hasn't done it, a bit like what Deck's saying and what I was touching on earlier, I think it's important to have the structure and the set and the like, right, that's where you compete and this is what we're doing, this is what we're following. So you're focused in your mind, because you're going to have so many nerves and so much going to be all over. You don't also need to be like, oh shit, I'm doing it in 10 days. You need to be working into knowing when it's going. And obviously everybody's situation is different as well. I mean, I don't even know who this Louis is. So, but if he hasn't prepped anybody before, then he doesn't have. It's not just about the drugs and it's not just about the diet. There's so much psychological stuff behind all of this, and making sure someone's mindset's in the right work it. Like, there's that whole aspect can overrule everything else. Because if your mind's not fixated on a date and you're not like, right, that's when I'm going, then by the time it comes, you're going to be all over. It's like, right, okay, we'll just do that one in 2 weeks. Exactly like Deck saying, absolutely sound for someone that competes all the time and they've sat there and they've been through it over and over again. And they're like, I know what's up to do. Yeah, no problems. Let's rock and roll for one on fucking Saturday. And why don't we do one on a Sunday as well? Because I know what's going on. But they've dealt with the stress before, they've dealt with the mindset, the afternoon. But I think for someone that hasn't competed, then that's not a good fucking move at all.
I think sometimes that's on the client as well. So I should have been like, look, this is the show we're going to do. Not like kind of be like, oh, yeah, you call it. Because I was kind of like, yeah, you call it. And then 1 minute we're 4 weeks out. Next minute we're 12 weeks out. It's like, which one is it? And like you said, Deck, like 1 minute I'm like death face, and next minute, it's kind of like.
Yeah, so, which way are you going in? I tell you what, though, talking of back-to-back shows, special mention to that fucking Craig Homer kid. He's won about 19 shows in fucking 2 weeks, this bastard. Honestly, he hasn't stopped winning. Like, he's just been doing show after show after show for about 2 weeks. It's just mad.
Proper fucking locked in.
Yeah, I think he's prepped by Nathan Diasher. He prepped him, and he's just fucking nuts. He did the GBO show, amateur, went pro, won the pro show, won the amateur show, won the amateur overall, and then the pro overall. And then the next day rocked up to PCA and won the PCA, then won the PCA overall. Mad. And he kept a dry look as well. Like, he didn't look tired. Like, it was a real good full look.
You looked mega. You looked very good, innit?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to do the day after, that's obviously...
Yeah.
That's better. That's all right. But...
It's hard.
I think you probably look your best. I think if you can push it a little bit, and like this is the big thing for me, because what we touched on then, like nighttime look, like I'm such a spastic, really. I have a very simplistic mind. I know you can't say the word spastic, but I'm going to say it anyway. Like I have like simple metrics that I follow, and this is my opinion. That like pre-bed going to the show, if you're on at nighttime, you're waking up flat. Like, I need you to be just a little bit over, not a lot. 10, 15%, so that you wake up on, or if you're going to be on a bit later, I need you 30, 40% over with a nice bit of water before you go to bed, so that we ain't got to fuck around in the morning, dry you out overnight, then just drip feed you into the day. And I think, like, with that Craig lad, like, if he pushes it a little bit the night before on the load, wins that show a little bit soft, GBO, it's a lesser caliber show, then he rocks in absolutely perfectly and drives a nun's cunt for PCA and wins,
Yeah.
Well, that's what I've just done with the kid in Japan there. So we're doing this second trial load. And the first day of the load, he's only gained, I think I've given him 700 grams of carbs, and his weight's only moved 1.2 kilo by bedtime. which is
Was it-
nowhere near enough.
Was it carbs from sushi?
It was all
Chicken wings.
clean. So tomorrow, what I've done is I've added another meal tomorrow compared to what we did last time, and brought in extra food before bed, because if he's only 1.3 or 1.4 kilo up off all that food, it hasn't fucking touched him. So we're going to need a shitload of extra food tomorrow, and then I can gauge what his weight does by tomorrow night, and then we've got it set up that the next day will be his pretend show day. But ideally, what we'll probably do then is, depending on what his weight is, I'll run the show morning, and then I'm gonna load him this shit up on the night with some more junk food and see if he actually responds better to the additional junk, because he is saline at the moment and dug out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like, some people, again, you can put 700 grams of carbs in them and they get fuck all. And other people, I mean, like I said, after that load that we've done, I gained 15 pounds. It's like,
I would be panicking if my client gained 15 pounds. I'd be drip feeding diazide at that point.
I would have put it in straight away. I'm not even joking, bro.
To wash it off.
I think that's probably a lot to do with the increase in sodium and stuff, though. I think half of that will come from there.
yeah, because
Like a super compensation of fluid.
It was odd. It was odd. They weren't pissing. It's like, what the fuck? Like, where? Why is the like?
That's a bad start, and that's a worry. Like, that's what I look for. If you're not pissing, shit's going wrong, because you're not getting rid of that fluid. You're not clearing.
It's also what you're doing is, when you add insulin in, it sucks more electrolytes in, it skews the electrolyte balance. So if you've rammed loads more sodium in, then you've put insulin in, then you've upped your carbs, your body's going fucking left, right, and centre at the same fucking time, and it's just going to go.
Same time as
Yeah. Fucking hell.
I still think the best method to load for any show, is just like Dex said, and I always said it since day one. I remember that my second show I did with Hilly, I messaged him. I goes, "I want my peak to be a fill and spill," and he was like, "Yeah, that's what I'm going to do anyway." And that's what's always worked best for myself.
It just works. It's just easier to fix, isn't it? You can top up throughout the day. Like, it's just the right way to do it. I do think the problem is in the lack of experience in the industry and stuff is that people are just scared to push to that point, because they don't test it enough to understand how long it takes you to dry someone off, which if you're lean is fucking 18 hours, max, half a day.
But I remember 2019, that was the best year me and Hilly, we nailed it that year. We were so in tune. I woke up on morning the show day at 3 a.m, looked in the mirror, and I was like, yeah, I'm getting a bit flat. Had about 10 dates, had some clean whites, went fucking back to sleep. And in the morning I told him, he was like, yeah, I'm glad you fucking did it.
Because
I'm looking at
probably trialed it before. So you kind of knew, right, when that look came, you knew that you put in carbs in, so you put the carbs in.
And that's what I mean, because me and Riz, me and the client, we'd already ran through it. He knew what we were doing, and I am very big on explaining to all my clients why I'm doing something, not just in contract, but in everything. I'm very big on, if you understand the rhyme and reason behind what we're doing, then you're comfortable doing it. And if you understand it, then, and you've seen what happens, then you can make an off-the-cuff decision by yourself if you want, because you know what we're trying to achieve. I've told you what we're trying to achieve, so then you know what to do, because and no one can sit with you all night 24/7, do you know what I mean? And the body can change so quick. One of my clients, we moved her, she went up, Kelly, she went up to women's physique, and her metabolism was fantastic by the time we did this. And as we ran through peak week, what we were doing was we were having a couple of high days with burger and fries, and then initially she looked better after 2 normal days. But every day she ate and had a burger and fries, and the next day she woke up a little bit leaner, a little bit tighter. The girl ended up having a burger and fries every day for 5 fucking days straight. But because she knew what and for a female, psychologically, that would freak most people out. Yeah. But because she knew what we were trying to achieve, and because I explained it, she was like, yeah, no problems. Because she was comfortable in the process of what we were doing, and this is what I mean by the psychological side of it. If you're comfortable knowing and you understand, you can give better feedback. Hang on a minute, I'm not pissing at you, what's going on? Why am I doing that? You know, if someone says why and a coach can't explain why, that's a big fucking red light, that. Like, why am I doing this? What are you trying to achieve? Well, hang on a minute. They should be able, if they can explain the complete rhyme and reason of what we should be seeing, you feel better about doing it, and then you can give the better feedback. Oh, I haven't pissed all night. I haven't pissed all day. That's not fucking normal. There's something wrong. Do you know what I mean?
What you do is
stress. So if you're stressed out, that's a big thing.
I'm a flapper. I am a flapper. It's like, I'm that guy. Like, I'm calm as a cucumber until I'm at that backstage. I just want to punch everyone and run out. Like, that's just me. Like, I can't deal with it, you know? But if you've got, and that's the problem with PCA, you ain't got anyone back there. Like, if I had Hilly holding my hand, I'd be sound. But the fact you've got different lighting, all that sort of stuff, you've got other people around you. It's a really difficult bit to navigate that last sort of 2-3 hours that you got on stage, you know?
You backstage, you see me, you're like, there's that prick who always rips me on Instagram.
Yeah.
Fucking prick.
That's why I want to.
That backstage, you can't even call that backstage. It was fucking awful.
Awful, wasn't it?
Stupidness, mate.
Oh,
These shows fucking bro. How can you charge people to compete, pay membership, and you go into some fucking room smaller than this, and it's outdoor as well, and some.
What is the PCA beef for coaches not being allowed backstage? I don't get that. Why not? Like, you want someone to pump up with you, don't? I don't get why not. What's the negative?
You only let the coaches that judging it come backstage.
I think the
You have
idea.
to cut this out now, Riz. Well done, mate. We've done this every podcast has gone in on the federations.
I think
I'm not even going in, bro. But it's just.
I'm joking.
I think they were letting it at one point, but the problem becomes everybody's got a coach, and then the coach wants to bring them in, or the cameraman in, and then it just gets too many. It just gets too many fucking people backstage, I think. So that's why they just had that of it. I'm presuming they're just trying to have a blanket rule of. And to be fair, you can move about. I'm very much of the opinion of there's no way I'd pay fucking £1,000 for 2 balls backstage.
No.
It's just so I can get a picture taken backstage. Like, you can walk out the door and come and tell me how you look, and then all you've got to do is go and sit down and pop up. Ain't no reason that you need. And then you end up with a room full of coaches, and then it's half not even about the athlete, I think. And so I can imagine that's why, to be fair.
Because NPC are cool with it, aren't they? You see at all the NPC shows, like all their coaches are out pumping up backstage. Like I was crying at that Gomez video earlier, him going fucking pro. But like Martin's with him backstage, like pumping up towels, bands, all
yeah, but
sorts.
they charge you for that, don't they? So
Dude, I didn't know. I thought it was just 2 bros.
I think it's sick. When your coach was backstage, I remember 2019 Hilly was backstage, and I looked at him and goes, I'm going to win today. I goes, I'm going to win. He was like, yeah, go try.
yeah, but bro, a lot of these like PCA shows are in like ghetto like little buildings that are just, you know what I mean? Like I said, like what you said, it's like tiny fucking like space. Not like there's not a fucking space for us to move about. Like the guy that was like spraying people and that, she was like trying to jump over me to like get to the other guy to try and spray him whilst I'm pumping up. It's like
that's why I think you're better off paying. I know 2 bros is about £7,000 to compete or some shit, or a mini mortgage. Yeah, you're better off paying it because there's only 3 of you. You go backstage, you take a coach with you, coach comes with you, you do a nice sort of pump up. You know what I mean? It's just easier, nicer, smoother. You know what I mean? You got less dickheads there, so it just clears out the fucking shit on it. That's why I see the big benefit of it. Everybody at that Ben Reader show was on pretty much.
I mean, the FitX, that's one thing they've got going. Like, they don't give a fuck. Like, anyone can walk in, just people walking in, out, backstage. It's like, no one gives a fuck.
Do you feel like they've lost a bit of traction over the past last year? I don't know what happened, because I really thought they were doing the business. Like, lighting was sick.
They were doing quite well.
There was a show TM Cycles did, and it was nothing to do with TM Cycles, but like they had this like off-key photographer like do some photos. Mate, she was fucking phenomenal. It was like Olympia level photos of like crazy angles backstage, sort of off-key shots, like crazy shots and stuff. And they were getting really popular. But I just feel like this year they've kind of gone under the radar. And it looks like some of the sponsors have gone more towards NFM. Is it or NFM? GPO?
They've
like
got
those guys.
a show together this year, bro.
Oh, have they?
FitX/NFM UK, I'm sure.
Oh, because who is it? Like Wild Boar or whatever. Full Bore Sports. Is that those guys? Like I'm pretty sure they were affiliated with FitX last year. Now they've just done GBO and NFM.
Everyone, like the Blood Lab, like the show that Ryan won, he got like a sponsorship from the Blood Lab. It's like,
yeah, that's sick.
I think they tried to put too much money into it, and they ran out of money because they probably thought, well, we can't give everyone a sponsorship for the Blood Lab and fucking year's supply of cream of rice. It's like when you win your class, it's like. So
I think what they did was proper good. You know, for a federation to do that, a new one, offer sponsorships, get sponsors in, get you 1 year with fucking supplement needs and all this shit.
FitX is really good, but I didn't know. And I like their shows. I like the guys. But they definitely seem to be getting quieter last year. Definitely.
Yeah. Because they did it right. It was like a labour of love, wasn't it? Like initially, like they were chucking money at like Rick from Strom. The geezer was a legend, wasn't he? He was like messaging everyone. He's ex-PCA, isn't he, or something like that? But he wanted everyone to compete, and it just seemed like it was going to be the next big thing. Like I heard rumours that they were potentially going to be shooting for pro cards and all sorts of stuff for the IFBB.
That bold guy, I forgot his name. Nice
Ryan.
guy. Yeah, the one who's at FitX now.
Okay, yeah.
He was at PCA, and before that, he was at fucking UK BFF.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. He's sound. He's a top geezer.
All of them, bro. Do you know what I mean? So he clearly knows what he's doing.
Yeah. Because is it right now that Sci-Fan and that have now left UK BFF and do something, or they're doing another one now? Is that right?
That new federation, what's it called? BPA.
Yeah,
Yeah,
something
I
like
saw
that.
a
Yeah.
video. There's going to be many federations soon. It's becoming
Yeah,
a
this
fucking
is the other thing. It's like and it's going to get to a point that every weekend, like that's what happened last year. There's a two bro show, a FitX show, a PCA show. There's like 7 federations. They've all got a fucking show. It's like,
it dilutes them all down because the
Yeah.
people spread over them.
Like, a mate of mine, Don Valley, you probably know he's a monster, but like he always does the IBFA shows, which are real quiet. But he's earning £500 cash prizes for winning overalls. Like, why would you not fucking do that over a PCA for a stone trophy?
And bro, they've got the best trophies as well. They've got them
Yeah.
big Viking things.
Yeah, the massive fucking thing. Yeah,
Actually, something you put in your house, bro. Not a fucking little fucking plaque, bro.
yeah. My fucking broke the moment I pick it up, just snapped in half. I was like, go get me a new one.
yeah. I mean, again, it's one of them. It's one of them, isn't it? It's just a new federation pops up. They get a bit of traction because people are like, oh, what have they got to offer? And then it kind of dies down, and then we're back to Two Bros PCA. 2 Bros and a PCA, basically. That's about it.
Two Bros have been better though, don't you think? Like they got that good videographer in from America or whatever, or Sweden or wherever he's from. Like they've looked a bit better because those Braywick Leisure Centre early days were fucking diabolical.
The thing is, did you go to that Kingdom Classic?
No.
Mate, the way they ran it, what a shit show that was. For first, right? That the guy that's like chatting at the start, he kept talking for about 20 minutes. We were all just sat there thinking, mate, just fucking get on with it. What the fuck? Shit.
MC, yeah.
For one, like, shut the fuck up, get on with the fucking show. We don't want to hear you chat shit, and it's just pointless fucking shit.
Yeah.
And second, the way they ran it was really odd. Like so with Ryan's class,
I know what you're gonna say. Yeah. Weird.
They didn't do quarter turns. They didn't do a back. I think it was like their rear double. They missed out. They missed out like half of the.
And they made everyone do their mandatories on their own because it was a new head judge, wasn't it? They put him in that day and they announced it. And then like Jordan Gomez was going mad about it because if you put that cunt next to anybody in quarter turns, he's smoking everyone. And like, he didn't get to do his shots. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So they brought him out like about 6 times. So it made the show fucking long. Maybe because it was a dead show. There was like 5 people in it, but. So they probably thought, well, let's give it a little bit more. Let's give everyone a little bit more stage time. But then there's that, and then there's overdoing it, and it just gets boring because it's like, so they bring you out first by yourself, then they brought them out to compare on their own, or like no, so they bring you up by yourself to the mandatories, then they compare you with everyone else, then they bring you back on, then you do your routine. Oh, it's like, it gets confusing.
Couldn't be asked with that.
It's fucking long, mate. It's fucking long.
For your show, why didn't you do full-blown roller jobby on the Dream Tan?
I didn't know. So,
have you seen that guy in Scotland? That kid who's tattooed from like his fucking face to his feet and he's been destroying everyone recently? You can't see a fucking tattoo on him.
Yeah, Gaz, I spoke to him. I've known him since last year, like back when he first done the tan.
Yeah.
I asked him, I said, what fucking tan is that? He goes, oh, it's just Dream Tan. It's red bronze. I'm like, oh, sweet, okay. So I ordered it. But I done my own pro tan, so I got some pro tan. And I put 2 coats on. I didn't know how fucking dark I got to be.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the tan was a fucking mess as well, because again, I put it on myself, like my missus put it on for me, so I didn't even know. Dan was like, yeah, that tan is fucking off. He goes, you should have got sprayed.
Yeah, people don't know how dark. But even like for you, the PCA guys, they wouldn't got it off. Like with my guys, I slap it on them. Like literally, I'll do like 3 layers and then Dream Tan them at the end, just so you got a good enough base, you covers everything, and then Dream Tan is glaze.
Yeah,
Hilly's getting the treatment next.
Yeah, Dream Tan.
Yeah, I just didn't know how to. I just again, because I've never done it before, and I didn't have anyone with me that knew.
Yeah, of course.
How dark I got to be, what I should have done. Obviously, if Dan, because obviously, as soon as he see me, he's like, "Yeah, you're not dark enough."
Yeah.
And he was putting the tan on me, like, he was putting the. I kind of like said that on my Instagram, but I still think it's important to highlight that because, like, it was 10:30, and he's putting the tan on me. We're on stage at 11, and he's on stage like 15 minutes after me. He didn't have his tan on because he was using Dream Tan as well. He was having his tan put on after I had it, and he was still on there putting my tan on.
He's a nice guy, Dan. You know, that guy's.
He didn't have to. He could have just been like, mate, just fuck off. I'm competing as well. Which that would have been fair enough because he's competing himself. He's fucking stressed out himself. It's one of them things, you know. But nah, he was literally like calm as anything. He was like, "Come on, let's go." Like we're in a fucking disabled toilet, fucking slapping the tan on me. It was like,
Those are the best times. Those are the best times.
yeah. So Dan, mate, he was such help. Obviously looking at me, he's like, right, eat some dark chocolate, stuff like that. So, like, that's why I was a little chilled, because I knew, like, from the week before, because obviously he didn't tell anyone, but we've been talking on WhatsApp, like, back and forth, because he's come off Instagram, and he was like, I knew that he was going to do the show. So I was a bit, so I chill, because I knew that he was going to be there. So
I think it was nice of him to do that, bro. I think, do you reckon you'll change coaches soon, or make it
I don't know yet, like, what the plans are. Like, for me, it's more just kind of like, at the minute, just take it day at a time.
I would make sure that you're flushing electrolytes in you and fluid. I tell you a really good thing to do use post show. If you go to Tesco somewhere, you can get Diarrhelite sachets. They give them to people if you've had the shits and stuff. I get clients to have one of them as soon as they come off stage, as soon as they're done. And the following week, because they just flush electrolytes there. There you go.
Right.
I've been using them with clients for years.
What about like a lot of these electrolyte powders? I've got some of the
coconut water all day. Well, for that stuff,
chugged in a whole liter of coconut water.
It's orgasmic, isn't it? That first bottle of coconut water when you get off stages, there is nothing better, mate. I was just like, oh, this is the fucking dream.
Yeah, I literally chugged the whole bottle of it this morning.
When you were posing Chudley on stage, would you get any cramping or anything?
Nah.
I always say, when you're absolutely peeled, bruv, and you're hitting them shots and you start cramping, that's when I'm like, yeah, motherfucker's on. And I look like, yeah, motherfucker's on.
Yeah, I didn't cramp. The amount of fucking... Well, saying that, the amount of diazide, like, we actually only use one tab. Because, like, but...
It's not a lot at all.
I don't think my body likes diuretics. Like, I haven't got the genetics for it. I've got white boy genetics. Like, it just sucks the fullness out of me. Like, we tried it those times, haven't we, Hilly? Like, ultimately, my best looks are just a bit of water manipulation, high vitamin C, and I just keep the fullness then.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on it. Sometimes you might try with more carbs or less carbs, or
something that I've found works well with some people. So I tend to find the theory is when you take the diazide, it starts working like this, and it's kicking water out. So most people take it sort of the night before the show. So you really, it's kicking in during the night, and then you're just getting on stage or putting it in while it's still quite active. What I've found works quite well with some people is taking it, say you're going to be on stage about 1 o'clock, show day, taking it 24 hours before. So it's got all the fluid out of you, it's done its job, but then it's already on the way out of the system, so the food you're putting back in retains the fluid properly. So with a few clients, we trial it, and say we know they're going to be on stage about 1 or 2 o'clock, we'll put half a diazide in at 1 or 2 o'clock the day before. So you're not actually trying to fill back out or get the look right while the diazide's active. The diazide's flushed the water out of you. Everything's done. It's almost leaving the system, and then you can manipulate the look in a level state. You're not trying to work against the diazide if something goes wrong, if that makes sense.
I think the problem as well, a lot of people is, it's my biggest fucking problem. I could be peeled, If I was working with Hilly, I'd be like, bro, I don't want, just let me take half a diazide. And I'd be like, he'd be like, nah, just leave it. I'd be like, bro, come on, just a quarter. And eventually, be like, yeah, just fucking take it. Yeah, just fucking take it. I wake up in the morning and be like,
you always think that little bit more is just going to do that little bit
more.
It doesn't, man. It's never as more as more.
You know why, bro? Because your head's already gone, You're looking in the mirror, you're thinking, yeah, peak week, I'm going to be so nice. You think everything's going to go mad, but it don't really happen, bro. In reality, not much changes, bro.
I can't wait for that day in bodybuilding where like you wake up in the morning of the show and you're like, I'm fucking on. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing to do now. Just this is it. I'm happy with the way I look, happy with muscularity, condition. Time to fucking rock and roll, you know?
Do you think also sometimes you wake up and you're like, I look pretty good. And then as the day goes on, you start to like fade.
Proper, yeah.
Like, I got up and I was like, oh, I look a lot better than I thought. And then as we drove to the show, got to the venue, those pictures that we took outside, like that front relaxed, I was like, oh, that's not too bad. Like my quads were looking like, and then as I got the tan on and we went inside and all that, before I got on stage, where it was nerves, I don't know, but almost like my look just changed. for the worse.
Yeah.
A lot of it's nerves and stress. But this is also why I think if you're going to use the diazide, using it earlier, because if you take some before bed, it's still active in the morning the next day, it's still working. And then if you're getting stressed and you're kicking more water out, it's like a double whammy. It's why it's why a lot of times you see people get worse. Whereas for me, if you're going to use it and you've taken it earlier, so it's out of your system the next day, then if the nerves kick a bit of water out, it's only a little bit. You haven't got fucking 2 or 3 things going on, still pulling water out of you, because it can just fucking happen within hours. You get nervous, you get stressed, your body kicks water out. You've already got something in the background kicking water out, and then you don't know what to fucking do, and it's just gone before you know it.
I tell you a really, really good thing that Hilly once told me. I've seen Hilly's boy Gaz do it, my friend as well. You just seen him go back, kept going to sleep. And
Always.
I looked at Hilly, and what's he doing? I kept going to Hilly, I'm flat. Hilly go, listen, mate, shut your mouth, yeah? Eat your fucking food and go to fucking sleep. D was there on the floor. I goes, fuck you, I'll just go to sleep. Woke up, he goes, listen, mate, we're on stage. Went backstage, literally did 2 fucking pulls with the bands, got on stage, looked sick.
Yeah,
That's it, man.
stress is a, and again, overall, a lot of times, do diazide and water and this and that and carb ups, and it's like, are you in shape? For me, I was kind of like, well, I'm not in shape, so it doesn't fucking matter in the end. You know what I mean?
And
If
I also find, though, that the kiddies who aren't in shape, like I'll go back to that Charles Claremont show, and I kind of found it to Hilly, I'm fucking pissed off because I'm the only one here that's fucking sliced, and everyone else was a little bit softer, but they were full as a fucking house. And I think those guys that are a little bit softer and a little bit fuller, I think it's rewarded at a lot of shows in this day and age. You know what I mean? Like, it's not saying they're not in shape, but they're not sucked out. Do you get what I mean? They're not dry. Because I think the problem is we all shoot for Lucas Osladil glutes, but we don't have the muscularity to support it. Like, none of us here do have the ability to have that look. Do you know what I mean? So we have to find the happy medium of fullness and dryness, you know?
It's a little bit like Jack. You know, Jack had that issue where he ruined his look in the last week, didn't he? Because
Who's Jack?
Deck knows him. Jack, yeah.
Yeah. Mate, that is, yeah, he got fucking food poisoning as well the night before, bless him, which was...
Yeah. But, like, he ended up chasing glutes, and he almost, like, because his strengths is, like, those upper body, those fucking arms, and, like, you know, once that flattens out, you know, you're out.
And he has such good genetics. Like, you'll find the upper echelon of genetics, they're the ones that don't need to be pilled. Do you get what I mean? Like, they can get away with it. Like, and Jack's got that big, bubbly, 3D physique that he doesn't need to be sliced and diced to win a show, you know?
Yeah, that's exactly it. And he just ended up you know, almost like he overdone it, you know, just to get glutes. And it's like, you could have smoked everyone.
Yeah. Especially when you've got classic trunks on that hide your ass. You know what I mean? Like, well, you're just trying to prove it to yourself at that point, you know?
Yeah. But yeah, I think, again, like I said, a lot of it just comes down to, if you're not in shape, it doesn't fucking matter what you do.
Yeah, you're fucked.
Anyway, Hilly, on that note, how's your prep going, killer? Where are we up to? What are we doing?
I'm just fucking suffering, I know that. Well, I'm not suffering too much. I am 4 weeks out as of yesterday. With still stuff to come off my glutes, hams and quads a little bit. I am considering maybe doing the NABA in 2 weeks. I mentioned it to AJ just because I've got 2 clients doing it anyway, which is fine. But I also thought the client that's competing in Japan was the same weekend. So if clients are on that time zone, I have to stay awake during the night to do check-ins with them. So there was no way I was going to compete if I've got to stay awake till midnight, get up at 3, and then get up at 5 for the clients competing here. But for whatever reason, his show is actually on the Tuesday or the Wednesday, which I don't know why. So I can potentially do the NABA. So half of me is like, well, if I'm going to the fucking show anyway, and AJ thinks I can look presentable, and I haven't competed for a couple of years, I may as well fucking get on stage and do it.
Just like posing practice.
Yeah, if I'm going, and I'm in shape, it's not like I'm fucking way off anything. You know, I'm leaner than fucking 99% of people that were on stage at the weekend from 2 weeks ago. So I'm there. So, and because I haven't run through anything with AJ and I haven't competed for a while, it'd be good to see what he does. So I'm accustomed to it for the PCA show. So what I've said to him is, I don't mind either way. If you think I can be presentable and it will give you information for the PCA in 4 weeks, then I'll do it. If not, then I won't bother. Doesn't matter to me.
Why are all the shows dead at the minute? There's like 5 people in these shows. Like that Mercia show, right? It was like I turned up and like the list was like there was like 10 guys. Like granted, a lot of them were like men's physique and that, but like no one watches these classes anyway. But like the bodybuilders, right? There's like 5 people.
I don't know
Like,
what it was.
where's
I think 2020 was when I did my first show. That year, even the first timers were just fucking stacked. Like there was 11 people in my first timer class, and they're all fucking good bodybuilders now. Do you know what I mean? Like that, like some of them were running for pro cards this year. And I just don't know what's happened since like the first quarter of this year and tail end of last year. It just seems to like tethered off. Maybe people realize it's quite hard bodybuilding. They can't just pretend on Instagram anymore, you know?
I also think
All the shows that I've been to have been fucking dead. Like that Saxon show. The Saxons are like a huge show.
That was a shit. That was a fucking
it was a shit show. It was a shit
That
show.
was like that was like such a and going in, everyone was like, yeah, it's gonna be a fucking stacked show.
It's usually the best show of the year, or one of them.
Right?
You got to remember, lads, as well. When did we actually come out of lockdown properly? Because everybody lost them that like year and a half.
Yeah.
I don't know though. Sorry, was going. Sorry.
I think we came out of there. Shows were a little bit stacked, and then everyone's like, right, I'm going to compete 2024 now. Let's have this whole year off, like I am. We'll compete next year. I think everyone's doing that for next year. Dex doing it. I'm doing
I
it.
don't know, I feel like last year a lot of the shows were stacked.
Were they?
Compared to this year.
Bro, do you know what it is?
I don't know if it's thinking completely outside the box. If it might be just because of the way the fucking country is at the moment and how expensive everything is.
Yeah.
Because if you're doing a show now, you've then got to do another show at the end of the year. That means you're running 2 preps, 2 lots of drugs, 2 foods, the lot. Fucking people can't afford to pay the mortgages and the bills in general. Never mind everything else. So I don't know whether that's got to factor to it. Because if you think cost-wise, Chudley, if you compete at the end of the year, you've now got to pay and do 2 full preps. Whereas if you just did a qualifier in September, you only paid for the one, aren't you?
You reckon the tail end's going to be busier, Hilly?
I think the end of the year will be busy, personally.
Bro.
And I just think thinking outside of the box, I think the way everything is, because a lot of people, we all do financially well, but there's a lot of people that love bodybuilding that can't afford to just throw all the drugs in now, I'll do the show, and then I'll repeat the whole fucking process later in the year. Because if you do a September show and you want to do the finals, you've only got 1 prep to fund there. Yeah. Whereas if you're doing
I just think bodybuilders, like, we're selfish. Like, with clients, I'm yet to get someone that I would say, right, I want you to run this cycle, and they'd be like, it's a bit too expensive. Like, 6 units of growth, fuck it, done.
This is what baffles me, like Hilly said, and this ain't blowing my own steam. Like, I do all right, like, I've got a decent career and that sort of stuff, and money's not an issue. But I don't understand how some of these kids who are just coaches, and you can see they've got a stable of clients, but you're not talking hundreds, you're talking 30, 40 at their best. I want to know what they're doing. I don't understand how they can afford it. It's mental.
Do you know what it is, Deck? A lot of these people, I always talk to my wife about this, and it goes, because there's this whole living crisis thing going on, and people act like they ain't got no money. But a lot of these people, I'm not being a dick, they fucking waste their money on dumb shit, bro,
Yeah.
They've got Audi RS3s, but live with the mum,
Yeah.
They've got all these nice fucking things, Gucci clothes. Do you know what I mean? And then they complain that our fucking bread's gone up to £2. It's all relative, bro.
It's no fucking eggs, bro. Eggs are killing me.
Bro, people are fucking...
It's well expensive, yeah.
People are just stupid.
£1,
isn't it?
You should try my fucking meal plan, eating 9 ounces of fucking fish for fucking 5 meals.
Fuck being Hilly, just for the GH doses alone.
It cost me a fortune.
Gino as well.
Mate, each one of on my rest days, my first meal is egg whites and oats. And then I have 9 ounces of cooked white fish, which is 250 grams. Then 9 ounces of cooked lean beef. And then 9 ounces of fish, 9 ounces of fish, 9 ounces of fish, 9 ounces of fish.
What's that in grams, bro? You're losing this, bro.
That's like 250 or something, isn't it?
250 grams, yeah. Which is about 350 or 400, like about 350 raw weight. So it's costing me £6 a fucking week.
Yeah, that's a lot of fucking.
Fucking.
It has been impressive though, watching watching you through AJ, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah,
there is levels to this, isn't there? And like his time management of your prep, like there is no one, including Hilly, who's by far the most experienced coach out of all of us here, that would have pulled you back as early as he did, dropped cardio out. And it's almost like well, you're quite far out, he's still already starting to manipulate that look.
Yeah.
Whereas we know to do that when you're ready. But like these coaches are like, the second you're dropping, you're flattening off, bang, you're full again, drop cardio out, and you're like, it kind of goes back to one thing I follow my guys. Like, I have to see them burst in full in the off season because I have to know how muscular they are. Do you get what I mean? And then I get a real understanding of when I'm pulling down my pictures, like, you're too fat here. Like, you might only drop 3-4 pounds, but your physique needs filling back up. And it has been impressive to watch from our perspective to sort of see, like,
he's very instinctive, and
yeah,
I think it just comes down to experience. The more people you've worked with, the more experience you've got, the more you've seen, the more you know what you're doing. Yes, I'm not taking any more drugs than I haven't done before. The GH is a bit higher, but it's not like, but I'm not taking any T3. So I don't know whether he doesn't use T3, but the fact I'm taking 5 or 6 IU of pharma-grade growth sort of makes up for that fat loss aspect.
What about T4?
T4, 100 milligrams. But I've also been dieting. We actually started pulling my food down in December. And apart from Christmas Day, I've only had one off-plan meal since Christmas Day. And that was part of a high day. All the high days have been clean. I didn't get a high day, all for the first 8 or 9 weeks. But he's kept protein higher, food higher. I think the other thing is it's the way he sets it up in the off-season. So my protein was at 400 or 500 grams all year last year. And it was fucking hard work.
You literally just got like a burger, didn't you? That was it, a burger and
That was all it was, yeah.
That was it.
But I'm still dieting now on 400 grams plus of protein. So although I'm hungry and whatnot, there's still a lot of food there. Do you know what I mean? Like to eat on a plate, and I normally wouldn't do that. And the only problem that comes with that is I'm different to a lot of people, and what I'm doing is I've got a hole in my chest and slip disc, so I'm never going to really be the best bodybuilder anymore. I only signed up with AJ because I class him as one of the best in the world. I've tried to get in to work with him for a year and a bit. I wanted to know what he does across the board. So for the year working with him, not once have I said, AJ, can I change this food because I'm sick of it? AJ, can I change that cardio because I'm sick of it? AJ, I'm craving this, can I change it? I have not once in a year asked him to change fucking anything. I've asked him to explain things, but my opinion is I feel he knows best. I want to know what he does. So if he says eat fish 6 times in the day, I will eat fish 6 times in the day. If he says take this drug, I will take that drug. And I haven't questioned it. I haven't asked anything to be changed. I have just run through the process so I can get the feedback from myself and learn what he does. And I think some of it is, obviously my body became accustomed to eating that much protein because normally my protein would be at 275 or 300 grams, but it's at 425 grams. But my carbs are low, but I'm still getting the extra calories from the protein, but it's not stopping me getting lean. The problem with that is that's fine for me to do. But for a lot of our clients, if we said to them eat 9 ounces of fucking cooked fish for a day, they'd tell you to fuck off.
I'll tell you.
Then, yeah. So then you've also got to get your head around the people that work with AJ in general are ones that are like, listen, I'm after my card, I want to be the best. You say jump, I say how high. Whereas is there how much really is there to that? If, like I said, if I said to a lot of people, Chudley, I want you to eat 9 ounces of beef 3 times a day, they'd say, fucking hell, I can't do that. I did it to see if it
read that shit up and neck it for you.
You need to make it clear, bro. Yeah, some people can't handle that much protein, bro. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bro, I tried that with Nathan Harmon. Yeah, I was fucking, bro. I couldn't even control my.
Can you not build up to it?
I think Riz can't because Riz's stomach's not in a good place, but my stomach wasn't in a good place. And I actually said to AJ in my first form, I can't really get away with beef. And he brought these other things in to help with digestion, and I ended up eating almost a fucking kilo of beef on my rest days. It was awful. It was fucking awful. But I forced it. And maybe I did force my body to it, do you know what I mean? But I think that he just does a lot of things that build up over time.
Yeah.
But he also is not asked. So it's just, that's what you do and fuck off and crack on. And not in that language. He's a very loving, very, very nice person. But like I mentioned to him in the off season, I was going to Ibiza for a wedding. Just didn't even acknowledge it. It was like, just, crack on. His mindset is this is what needs to be done and it gets done. And I think that I'm seeing the benefits of that now because I just cracked on and got everything fucking done. I think that sometimes where you fall into problems is something I've realised this prep is in all of my other preps, I try to make things nicer. Can I be more creative with foods? What sweet flavour drops can I use? What this? I just eat my oats plain now. I'm not asked. I just eat the fish because he wants to eat the fish. And actually, it's been better because I'm just not asked. I'm not trying to get creative. I'm not trying to make
American coaches are more like, we always go, or like the coaches here will say, oh, these guys in America, they're like 20 years behind, still measure their shit in cups. And it's like, yeah, but does it have to be any more complicated than that? Because down here, everyone's like scientific. Like coaches here, they just wouldn't put you on 400 grams of protein because science doesn't support that. And that's it. It's like, you know, you've got guys that are like, yeah, but biomechanics and fucking this and that. And it's like, just, you know, it's all science. And, you know, it's like, oh, being accurate. And this is
Just
like
compare the lineups, though. Compare the lineups to the NPC shows, men's physique. It's like adults versus children. Like, it's two completely different. And I don't think they're pushing drugs more. I think they are a bit more traditional in a sense. I think the common compounds over there are still very much DECA, MPP, EQ, things like that.
Yeah.
With a splash of primobolan. But, like, there is a drastic difference in amateur caliber of athletes in America compared to the UK. I don't know if we've oversaturated by just sort of everyone jump on stage even though he weighs 110 pounds soaking fucking wet, but there is a big difference, 100%.
The big difference, I think, is they do what they know works. And let's be honest.
Yeah.
If we take up all of the lineups in bodybuilding over the last 20 or 30 years, 98% of them have been made up by Americans and they've been better. Yeah. They just run their drugs and their food by what works. It's like this raw weight to cooked weight thing. It's like, oh, in England, we have to use raw weight because it's more example. Well, how the fuck did Ronnie Coleman and Jay Cutler and everybody else manage to use cooked fucking rice then? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's what I do, but it's like, hang on. So every Olympia in America, I'm watching videos and they're all eating cooked rice and making it cooked. But some 175 pound amateur kid in England has to fucking make it raw because that's the way it needs to be. It's like, use a bit of common sense. And it's like the volume training thing. One of the reasons I went to work with AJ is because I wanted to do higher volume. And I don't enjoy it as much as I enjoy lower, and I wouldn't do it myself. And then you've got people in England that will say, oh, low volume is the way. And I'm like, well, why is it then that the best bodybuilders in England have left to go and work with people that are fucking bored and they're all doing high volume training? It's like, are you fucking mad here? Yeah, and exactly. I'll get a client be like, well, I don't want to do that volume. I have to do low volume. And I'm like, why? What best bodybuilder do you see?
I think also it's body part relevant. So for me, for my chest, I got what you've got here. Like my chest is fucking torn. So for me to actually train chest, I've got to do volume. I can't train in a traditional loading and back off set because it just can't happen. It will just go all to my shoulders. So I've got to do 5, 6, 10 sets of just flies, like cable flies, just before I even start my workout.
Yeah.
And I say this on every podcast. It's not that one system works better than the other. Jordan's my best mate and he's built more muscle than anybody. It works. I just think that we should be maximising all to get the best. And when it comes down to it, the best of the best are maximising all. Fact. And then you get people that are stuck in just doing the one way. But again, this is why I like to go and work with people outside of where we're at. I know what everybody does here, and I've been doing it for a long time. I want to learn something new. I want to try new things. So I will branch out, because that's how you find what works. Because it's not, I don't even think it's that one thing works for one person and one works for another. It all works. It's just finding who enjoys what, because enjoyment is key. And then it's putting yourself through these different things because they all create a response. They all will drive stimulus and they all will get a result. It's just making sure you should be maximising everything, not just sitting. I always just say not hitting the same fucking nail with the same fucking hammer over and over again.
Because I was speaking to Matt Barmer yesterday because we trained together, right? Yeah. And I was like, bro, people always talk about rep ranges, mate. I goes, bro, you're like 70 pounds bigger than me, arguably the best amateur right now in the UK, yeah? He will turn pro. And I was like, bro, I just do whatever you do. And if I get 6 reps, I get 6 reps. It don't matter. I'm just trying to keep up. And for me, that's progress. And then when I do match your plates, that makes you do fucking 10 kilo more. Because you know that small Riz is fucking picking up the same as me. I'm going to now do another 10 kilo, yeah? And you just feed off each other on training. You don't take everything to the logbook or start tracking mad shit. And you have your best sessions. I honestly think people here are overdoing it. You've got to be over 20 reps. You've got to be fucking 3. Just fucking train real hard, man. I think that's
the worst thing, like I said to you, the worst thing we ever did was just try benchmark numbers on rep ranges. There's no need for it.
Bullshit.
You're muscle nose failure. Working with weight ranges. You have a loading set and a back off set. Just go to failure. If you can just get any new client, teach them that. All you have to do is keep going with good form so you can do no more. Once you do that, drop the load by 10, 20%, then do the same thing again and watch how much muscle will grow. It's as simple as that. Yeah. The worst thing is when you get people come to say, how many sets and reps are you doing? I'm like, why does it fucking matter to you? Like, it's completely redundant to you. You are not me. You can't train like I can. You can't lift the same weights as me. You don't look the same as me. All you need to do, your muscle's not that smart. It doesn't have a brain. It can't count reps. Just make the workout so hard you can't continue to do any more than fuck off home and eat some food. You know?
I think the whole thing, obviously, with beat the fucking logbook to death now, but like, I think it's got its place in certain phases. Like, I'll go through phases that I'm like, right, I want to see how strong I can get, and I'm tracking it. I'm going to track for a bit of time, and then other times I'm like, fuck this, leave the logbook out. I'm not even going to bother like working out what exercises I'm going to do. When I walk in the gym, I'll decide. It's more like on the phase. It's like, what do I feel like I'm going to enjoy at the minute? Sometimes I want to do a fucking bro split chest workout. Other times, push-pull legs is fun. Just, it doesn't have to be, you've got to do that and that's the only thing that works.
Yeah.
But at times, I'll do push-pull legs. At times, I'll do a bro split.
I think as well, yeah, this is a fucking fact, yeah. Me and Matt were talking about it again. We both met on the shoulder press the other day. Bro, I did 3 plates on that strength shop one, and I was like, Matt, fucking I feel fucked. He goes, I used to get 5 plates on that, and I was lighter. He goes, yeah, because we're not doing the same pattern on the same day, on the same hour, every fucking day, every fucking week, on a Thursday. He goes, because we're switching it up, we're doing a bit of that, we're doing a bit of this. Body can't, because your body does get used to lifting in patterns as well, right? That's why I think it's good to change. Like, sometimes we go to the gym and we're like, yo, let's change the Nautilus pull down for a fucking for the Panatta one. Let's change things.
Just reversing the order of your workout, so everything's in a different order is one of my main things to do. Instead of doing that first, move that. So I might hit chest supported T-bar row first, 1 week, heavy, and then I'll put it at the end the week after, and you keep the reps higher. And I think that's one way of keeping enjoyment. It's one way of keeping your focus, and it's one way of increasing stimulation. Just doing the same stuff in the same. I don't know whether there's an argument for doing the same things in the same order and over again becomes a negative. Because like you said, Vince, your body becomes super adapted to it, finds the best way to do it, and you don't get the same stimulation, in my opinion.
I think because you're chasing the logbook number, you're like, yeah, 5 plate 5, 5 plate 10, and it just becomes a movement pattern, right? It doesn't become
I think again, it's where Milos is so clever and he's got it nailed. And a lot of Milos's programs that I've seen, the first 1 or 2 exercises, a lot of the time, will be strength focused, straight sets, pushing weight, maybe not using a logbook, but the straight sets. And then he comes in with the giant sets and the pump set and stuff. And I think that's where, it's not complicated, but you're hitting different types of hypertrophy, you're getting the blood flow in there, but you still got the strength gauge.
Do you find when you do that with clients, they almost kind of like see that as you just being lazy and you just can't be bothered to, like, you just think, he's only just fucking rearranged the workout. That's no different workout.
What I find works very, very well, yeah, with some clients that get bored easily is we're in a bro split, yeah, and then every single week I add a set, and then we work up to a set amount. Then once we get to 4 sets per exercise, I'm then like, right, we've completed that whole entire training phase, pull it back to now 3 sets, and now because we've got less sets, should be able to do more overall.
Reserve, bro.
Huh?
That's called reps in reserve.
No, not reps in reserve, bro. Don't talk about
that's how that shit runs, doesn't it?
But
week 1, 4 sets. Week 2.
That's where his new one sets in reserve.
Listen, lads.
The only time I've not enjoyed training, like I mean this, is when I use a logbook. And I always talk on this podcast about training ages. Like, it does come down to like a level of strength. Like when you are hitting certain numbers that are, let's just say, elite, comparable to the majority of the human race, like that logbook almost becomes redundant because it just fucks with your brain. Like, it's exhausting in the day knowing what you have to go in and beat. And then when you start getting that anxiety, like, am I going to match my numbers? I didn't do it this week. What did I do wrong? Did I fuck my sleep up? Is my test fake? Is my GH real? You start going on this fucking rabbit hole of what's going on. And at that point, you have no fun. And this is what I try and explain to I know what Riz said about the clients, but I just couldn't work with those clients. I would just say, I'm not your coach. Like, I can't deal with those people who need like hyper stimulation because you're not getting it from bodybuilding. Go and play fucking table tennis. You get good at that really quickly. You know what I mean? Like, bodybuilding is not for you if you need stimulation by a new training program, new cycle, new diet every 4 to 6 weeks. Now, it does work with people who are super experienced and done all the bread and butter stuff for a long period of time, built a decent amount of muscle. But like for the new guys, they just need to understand, it sounds terrible, and I'm not selling myself here, and I don't try to. You just need to suck it up. Get really fucking good at those basics, working in those rep ranges and those volumes, master those exercises, and once you have a level of muscularity or strength, then start doing the cool stuff. Then start changing your splits to bro splits, push-pull legs, all that sort of stuff. That's the time to do it. There's no time. Like, I had a kid come up to me in the gym. Does anyone know what this is? He's 17, 160 pounds, 6'5", right? And he goes, "Oh man, I'm doing this new split. What do you think?" It's called push-pull Arnold. Do you know what that is?
Bro, I heard that in my gym.
What is it?
Bro, do you know Arnold's got his split?
Oh, is it the chest and back?
I don't fucking know. I was like,
Chest
what?
and-
I just said,
Opposite body groups.
Yes.
Because the
Oh.
science
Chest and
behind it
back,
is you get more fucking blood flow or some shit, yeah?
I literally said to him, I pick heavy stuff up, and I went and continued to do my set. I can't deal with it.
Do you know what pisses me off the most in the gym at the moment, yeah? There's this new generation of young lads that come, and it's wicked. Because I was once one of them, right? When I was one of them, I used to look at all the big guys and be like, what the fuck are they doing? I'm going to do it. And you just copy the biggest guy in your gym.
Yeah.
And see what he's doing. You copy it. Now, it's the total opposite. And they'll come up to you and like, oh, bro, how do I do this? You show them the correct way. They don't do it anyway.
No.
There's like that level of respect. It's not there. They're all training with their little AirPods on, not even spotting each other. The whole scene's different, bro. They're not the same. It'll be a big decline in bodybuilding, trust me. From this
Bring back
I
meat
think the whole
heads.
thing with the logbook, a little bit on what you just said. It's like the level we're at. I'm not going to forget what fucking dumbbells I pressed last week.
No.
Like, I'm not just going to think, oh, do you know what? Yeah, I did press the 65s because I forgot my logbook. I'm just going to do the 40s. It's like, no. Like, you don't just forget. Do you know what I mean? We know for the most part, we train on the same kit. So you know exactly what you can fucking do.
And
your
if
training
you
partner will know what you're fucking doing. He'll remember. Do you know what I mean?
go to failure, it overrides all of it, doesn't it? Like, as long as it's failure, it doesn't matter if it's 6, 8, 12, 15. On that given day, if you can achieve true failure, muscular failure, or mechanical failure, as the nerds like to say, like, if you can do that, then it doesn't matter. You're going to grow muscle, you know?
It just depends what you identify as failure, innit? That's the problem, bro.
Normally,
Some people-
nosebleeds for me.
Bro, I used
Even then, because like the people that train to what they think is failure, they'll still get to that point.
Yeah.
It might be 3 reps in reserve, but they think that's failure, so they'll just still get to that.
Yeah, exactly.
because, bro, if you ask me, yeah, what failure is, bro, that's me. I'm gonna grind out every set, yeah, and on that last one, I expect Deck to take the bar off me, bro.
Yeah.
That's to me is failure when you just put your push and nothing, bro. The guy's lifting it off you. That's failure, in my opinion. If you're not hitting that, it's not failure, bro.
Failure for me is like 5 more reps than Riz, with probably like 3 more plates aside on that most things.
Sometimes we train at the gym. I'm like, one more, yeah. So Matt turned around, he goes to me, one more, go on, one more. And I was like, fucking wanker's doing it back to me, right? And I'm on leg extension, and I've gone to get up. He goes, sit the foot back down. He pushed me back, and he goes, and he started stretching my legs out. I goes, what are you doing? He goes, we've got 2 more sets. And we just started going at it. But that's what the best sessions are about, man.
Yeah, that's
fun.
what we were saying. That's what we were saying before. I think a lot of what is missed is people get way too into the complicated side first, instead of just going to the fucking gym with your mates and destroying each other. That was the fun part of that. Let's go to the gym and let's all see who can ruin each other the first. Let's just kick ass. Have some fun in the gym. Instead, they're way too focused on reading and watching loads of podcasts and YouTube videos about loads of complicated shit. So they haven't even destroyed themselves yet. They don't even know what a hard training session is, because they've missed out on the fun part. They've missed out on the important part. They're too busy on the shit that fun comes later on.
And that's the organic bit, isn't it?
It's so much easier to just watch Kuba fucking do pull downs and tell you, oh, you got to stop here and don't go all the way too far, because then you're going to start to fucking involve the upper back. You got to stop just where your hip is. And it's like, bro, just does it like you're actually, I get what you're trying to say, but equally, like, the people that actually watch that, probably it doesn't probably apply to them, you know.
Well, they don't have lats. This is the big thing. Like, this is what people fail to understand. Like, you can't. A lot of the reason people can't concentrate on a muscle is because it's not developed enough. I was the same with my chest for years. Man, I was benching 70k dumbbells and I didn't have a chest because it was all tricep and delt. Like, it took me restarting on a 20k plate, going to failure, which was like 20 reps, and repeatedly doing that until I was getting stronger and stronger and stronger. These kids don't need Kuba telling them, oh, this is what you need to do to a lat. They need someone to show them on a barbell row of like, this is how you engage your full back, which is your rhomboids, trap, and lat, which you will hit part of, maybe not optimal individually, but if you are good at a back row, you will get some lat, you will get some rhomboid, you'll get some trap, and you get some rear delt. Once you start getting better at that and becomes developed, then you move over to these hyper-concentrated movements where you can target the lat.
The thing is, it doesn't matter how much you target your lat, yeah? People need to accept this. The teres is going to come in. Other bits are going to come in a little bit. You just can't hit pure
It's
lat.
actually one of my questions I got from Instagram, where literally one of the a kiddie has said, how do you develop your lats in your front shots? And like I replied to him, I said, I'll pick this up on the podcast, but you're not looking at my lat, it's my teres. You don't understand the difference of that muscle. It looks like my lat from the front, but it's not. I have a really well-developed teres, and I can tell you how I did it. I've always done wide arm chins. Every back session is wide arm chins, and I have quite a short range of motion. I don't do the whole pull myself up and contract my traps and squeeze it at the top. I have a very short run, but it's my teres you're seeing. It's not my lats. And I think those guys are chasing that look, the C-bum look, but they don't realize that's not the muscle you're growing. It's your teres that pops out in those front shots, you know?
Yeah, because, bro, like when you... Go on, sorry.
And the thing that's missed is, Kuba trains like an animal. Kuba's been to the gym with his mates when he was younger. Kuba knows how to train. That man trains harder than anybody else. So he already knows how to train like a fucking animal. So all of the stuff he's doing now, the underlying intensity, the effort, is already there. He's now finalising the rest, and that's why he's becoming better. But it's all no use for the kids watching it that don't know how to fucking train hard in the first place, because they're then preventing themselves from training hard by focusing too much on the fucking shit that's not relevant.
It's like sometimes when you train with your boys when you're younger, right? When I was younger, I'd be like, no, boy, you're doing that wrong, you're doing that wrong, you're doing that wrong. Now I'm like, when you train with you like the other day when we all trained back, yeah, we all did the pull down a bit fucking different, yeah?
Yep.
But then my argument was, because obviously I was getting pissy, I was like, well, my
Chris
form
was
ain't
going
wrong.
to fight us.
I was like, but my back shots are good. So I don't give a fuck if I'm doing it wrong. Because I'm telling you, if I feel it on my lats, I feel it on my lats. Yeah, I train with Matt, I'm like, Matt, bro, some of the shit that I do, it might not look fucking, it might not look perfect, but it will touch my back. It's all kicking in.
Touch me.
Train. You just crack on
Tickle
with
me.
Tickle me.
The way Ryan does his bro. And everyone gives him shit about that, but it's like, look at his fucking back.
He rows the same as me, exactly the same way, higher angle,
Exactly.
pulls from a lower point, and then I think the majority of good people with good backs row the same way Ryan does, exactly the same way, no different.
Yeah.
Because
It's like, why
it is
does it fucking
tension,
matter?
isn't it? Even just
Doesn't
stabilizing
matter.
that weight. You know, when you're just hanging over that weight, holding that fucking bar with 200 kilos is developing your back. Whether you like it or not, it's going to happen, you know?
Just being in that bent position, just holding it.
I think a lot of people need to accept you cannot be like, you can't just be static when you're training. People are literally, they're fucking locked in fully, yeah, which is sound. And they're pulling, and they're like, why is my back not good? Bro, your body is made to like flex in a certain way, and
Yeah, be fluid.
To move.
it's supposed to be naturally like smooth.
Yeah, it's not meant to be isolated. That's the thing. It's not meant to be isolated.
Yeah, and when you can isolate something, you can do it. I'm not saying you can't. You can't really load it, and if you can't load it, you ain't really gonna fucking grow.
Exactly.
And that's just the fucking facts.
Anyway,
What do you want to talk about? Go on, sorry, go on.
I was going to ask you, want to give us an update where you're at, Martin? What's going on? What you're doing?
I'm the forward of the podcast.
Okay, sorry, bud.
You the Ian Valley. I got answer it. Go on. What are you doing?
Well, I'm going to get a new coach because I've dieted for one day and I'm still fat and now I'm flat. So I don't really know how I feel about it.
You're going to sign up to me. I'm going to turn you pro.
Yeah, I'm going to sign up to you. Now we've had a fucking good year, productive year for us. I think super high body weights of like 260, and then we dieted down
60 and you look fucking 280.
I just have white clavicles, I think, and good angles of photos. But we did that once. It was a very sloppy 260, a very fat 260, way fatter than you were, Dave.
You ever got?
Oh, mate, I'm a walrus. You ask Hilly, I'll fucking eat, bro. And I don't mind being fat. Like, I'll show you pictures. You go back. I've been like 272 of pure wellness. Like, legit.
Yeah.
Like, my first coach ever was Sass. And, like, I remember once saying to him, like, mate, I'm fat. And he goes, cool, eat some more cookies on your high days, bud. And, like, ever from there. Yeah, and I just kind of understood from there that, like, until I was at my level of muscularity that I wanted to be in, which I've always said I don't want to be a pretty classic physique bodybuilder. I wanted to be a fucking freak. I was always willing to get fat. So I push up hard and I did in the first off-season with Hilly, we came down heavy. This year we pushed up to like a fat 260, dieted down to about 240 when it Hilly, 230, something like that.
230s.
Yeah, maybe something like that, and then push back up to 260 now. In a much,
In a very good spot.
the best
So,
I've.
do you find you've got to get to a certain fatness, but don't stay at that point. Diet down straight away.
This is the thing, and this is what I try and drum into my clients. Like, I've got a couple of new cool clients on, which you'll probably see on Instagram, are quite good bodybuilders, and like I won't make it public just yet, but like trying to explain to them, like, I know, and like Hilly now knows, I have a window of legit progression when I am way fatter than 90% of people are willing to get, specifically in terms of strength and fullness, like to the point where my fat's hanging over my back, I can barely tie my shoes, all this sort of stuff. I have like a window of like 4 to 6 weeks where I am freakishly strong, like stupidly strong.
Right, okay.
And I like to rinse that period. And that's kind of when I cap it off, then digestion goes to shit, feel a bit toxic, all that sort of stuff. But when we dieted back down and pushed up, this was the slowest we've taken the push up. Like normally I'm like, eat. Me and Hilly would just push food. We went a bit more aggressive on the drugs. Specifically, test was a lot higher this time, run a gram of test. But apart from there, we just played it a lot slower, got up to a better 260. Baby's due now in end of June. So we'll diet until then, and I think that will give us an indicator of where we'll sit in like super heavies for the early 2024.
We did.
I was going to say, like, at a certain point, for me, I start to feel worse. Like, I getting fat to a point that your training just starts to be shit.
Yeah,
that's no good then. That's
at that point, it's counterproductive.
See, what we did with Deck that worked really well this time is we adapted his cycle and his training as we moved from the growth phase to the diet phase. So it almost allowed a bit of a recomp. We increased the volume, which in his training, which rested his tendons a bit somewhat. We switched the drugs around a bit, which naturally tightened him up. So actually, even though we did that diet phase, he kept getting better and at a remarkable rate, actually. So we didn't go into an all-out sort of cut. It was almost a bit like a recomp cut, and it just worked. It worked so fluidly, but the advantage of us working together for prolonged periods of time is we have information banked. We know where he feels good. We know what he does. And then coming up gradually, and the beauty of Deck is, and it was the same with Riz, is very much how I've been with AJ. I say, he does.
Yeah.
Sends me his check-in. I'll ask questions back. No problems. I can't remember the last time Deck said to me, Hilly, can I change this? Hilly,
I don't think I ever have in like 3 years.
and it works so well. And he works like I do. We make loads of notes. We know what Deck feels good on, what he doesn't, and what works.
Yeah.
And it's just managing it well. But I'm very big on trying to take as little steps back as possible. So you should have no dead time, no wasted time. So we tightened up, we changed the drugs a little bit at the end of the growth phase to move into a recomp. Then we used the taper period in drugs to cut up. So by the time the drugs were out of his system, we tightened up. We were in a great spot, and we were all ready to start moving food back up. And then we just increased the drugs as we went. We already now know what drugs he feels good on. So we escalated the drugs. So we escalated the drugs that he feels good on. Let's see if we can taper the dose and still feel good, which we did. Played around with other stuff. Then Deck naturally brought the training volume back down as he focused more on strength. And we've just ended up back to where we were,
Right.
but in a way
it's like a cycle.
Yeah, and this is what I was saying.
It's like a repetitive pattern.
Yeah, and this is what I was saying with the training, is that instead of just hammering the same nail and the same, people just keep doing the same shit over and over again, where I think that the best thing to do is, if we can change drugs so that it manipulates the nutrient balance and you can get a bit leaner and harder. So for instance, switching from Deca to Tread, that will improve your body composition. If you then can change the stimulus in training to more volume, which still creates a stimulus for hypertrophy, but burns more calories, you've put two mechanisms in place that will make you leaner without even touching your fucking food. So that has to then equal a bit more muscle while you get leaner. Then you can make smaller food reductions. So you end up leaner and harder, but on more food. Therefore, you've retained more muscle. Then you're in a better position to move on again. And that allowed us to then move on and stay in a better body composition. And it's so easy. Like me and Deck are just like, yeah, me and Riz were the same. Like, there's no stress, there's no drama. We know what works. We know how to do it. Deck trusts me. I trust his feedback. away we go. It's fucking enjoyable.
A really good thing to add on this as well, which is what we did different in the pull down, which we didn't do before. My genetics aren't great for bodybuilding in terms of holding fullness. Like even in the peak off season, as an example, if I was to eat my meal a little bit early and push my first meal the next day back late, I'll flatten off like that really quickly. And it's very apparent in my physique. Like you, Dave, my legs are very dry and vascular, so I use that as like my metric. As soon as they soften due to being flat, I can see it. But what we did in this pull down is we kept both my high days and off-plan meals in around my weakest areas, which are my chest and hamstrings effectively. So all the way.
You cut off.
Yeah, don't worry. Although for that diet phase, like we still had a super compensation of food from the off plan. And I'm telling you now, this was a game changer for us. The high days didn't work for me. Like they did to a degree, but it's the off plan meal. And I was being a pussy for a while, and Hilly was like, "Man up and eat." It's a proper off plan meal before rolling into the high day gives me that ability to maintain fullness for the whole week.
Right.
And I think it just created a better look. And I'm still, it may be anecdotal and may not be possible in a deficit, as science may dictate. But I was able to progress my lifts in chest and hams all the way through that diet phase, and as we rebound back out, and we kept the same process all the way through without changing it once.
Placebo, even if in your head you're like, right, that off-plan meal,
yeah,
it still fucking works, doesn't it?
But and this is where it comes down to finding someone's body. We found that keeping it the high days super high in carbs was great for digestion, great for fuel, but it wasn't keeping him full. So recently we've tried, because what I'll do with some clients is I'll add some fats in to help the carbs stick, but it skewed Deck's digestion. What didn't skew his digestion was putting the fats in the night before in the free meal, so then the fats are there, so then the high carbs the next day stick better. So
Right.
it's just finding them what works.
It's just like a one really dense, heavy meal of fats.
Yeah, and I will say though, like it sounds really silly, but like it's not always to the extent of like cookies. Like I don't eat any of that shit. Like it sounds really silly. There's a bougie kebab place by me, like a legitimate Lebanese bougie kebab place, and I'll get like 2 tandoori chicken wraps and 2 portions of chips. But I'm never eating like the sugary or refined shit. I don't do cakes, don't do cookies, all that sort of stuff. It is coming from whole, fattier, but whole food. You know what I mean? There's good quality shit. And I think that helps because my first off season, it would be, oh, let's get a Domino's and 4 cookies and some ice creams. And I just think it just skews your look so quickly.
It does. I've just had the discussion with one of my long-term clients, Bethan, who's a fantastic bikini trained athlete. She won the overall at FedEx the other year in the finals. She usually has her free meal on a Saturday because it's the sociable time to have it. Do you know what I mean? In the off season. But this week and last week she didn't, and it gave us a better look on the Monday. So we got a better representation of how she looked. So what we've done is, unless she's got something social going on a weekend, she's going to have her free meal on a Monday because it allows her then. Her training sessions all week were better because it was on the Monday and the night of training to fuel the week. Whereas when we were just having it monotonously on the Saturday, and don't get me wrong, there's the social side to all of this. If you're not in prep and you're in the off season, you want to have your free meal when it suits your life. But in terms of progress and look, same with Deck, having these meals at specific times for Deck or for Bethan gave me better feedback as a coach and gave both of them better progress within their own physiques. And this is why sometimes, a lot of the time, it's about finding what works for you. And it's the coach's job to be like, right, okay. And this is where the bank of experience comes in. I think this is where AJ's extra experience comes. Okay, well, I've actually seen this with a client before, so I'm going to do this. It's like recently with Deck. I said to Deck, do you know what we're going to do? And I think we're still in a good position to push. And I did this with a client earlier. For the next week, make every training day a high day. He's like, no problems. And we got bigger and harder and leaner. So I was like, fuck it, do it again.
Drastic as well. Like it was such a drastic difference in look. And I think to touch what he was saying, the week prior was where we kind of experimented with the fats, and that was the worst I felt in the off season in a long time. Like even when I was running Anadrol, it very early in the off season, it made me feel like a bag of dicks. That those fats like really skewed my look a little bit. I could tell my body wasn't digesting the food very well, and then we pulled that back out and then rolled to the high days because I said to him, on the high day throughout that week where the fats are higher, because there's no fats, it's higher carb, I just feel awesome. Ran up for that week, mate. The difference in
carbs is your high day?
I think it's around 1,000.
Yeah,
1,000. And like, I trust me when I say this, Dave. Like, I'm the fattest cunt. Like, I'll eat. Like, I've never like hit my limit of food at all just yet, and that's like 7-8 meals, liquid meals, all sorts of stuff. I can eat.
Gypsy, innit?
Yeah, gypsy blood.
I did it with a client at the start of the year, Alex. We were like, he was stuck with his digestion a bit, but he was like, Hilly, my high days are not a problem. So I was like, fuck it. This next week, you're going to have 3 meals on your rest days, and every train day is going to be your high day. If you feel good on a high day, then just roll with that. We ended up doing that for 9 weeks straight. And 9 weeks straight, he got bigger and better and bigger and better. And he was like, am I just going to keep doing this? I was like, listen, if you feel better, you fucking look better, and you're performing better, you can be damn sure that we're going to keep doing that, yeah? And that's, for me, that is the sign of what coaching is. It's listening to your client, it's getting the feedback. It's not, well, normally I do this, so this is what you're going to do. This is what my coach did with me, so it works. It's what's going on in the pictures, what's happening. Let's just roll with it and see, and bank the information and move on. And that's the whole idea of it, because everything you're doing is different for everybody. It's finding what works best for them, always.
I think that's a lot of it's a mistake when a lot of us that know a decent amount, we try and get involved. So it's almost like team effort. Like Louis always sort of says that, and he's like, yeah, it's like team effort. Like he'll ask me, and I'm like, I used to think, yeah, it's all right to like for me to get involved and have a say, but really I shouldn't, because you'll naturally just pick the best option that suits you, and that's never like in prep, for example. Are you tired? And you think, yeah, I'm tired. Of course you're fucking tired, but you're going to say that so we can reduce your cardio, you know. But
like we're proud of me and Hilly. Like in the off season, we talk a lot, but at prep, we don't talk. I've no joke. Toward that tail end, it's a picture, feedback. Don't talk back to it. Speak to you the next day. Like there's no like chit chat. How you feeling? Like he knows I'm in the hurt locker. Like he knows I'm digging my fucking ass out. There's nothing he's going to say that's going to make it any better. It's his job to get me in shape. Do you know what I mean? So it's just, and I think that is a problem. I know I'm not being out of term when I say this. It was very similar with Riz and Hilly. Like you become such close pals. It kind of like skews the relationship, but like I know what I'm paying Hilly for. It's to give me the results now, and I make this comment regularly on my transformation photos. Like, would I have probably got here? Yes, it would have taken me 10 fucking years. I've done it in 3. Does that make sense? And like that's all Hilly is doing. He's just fast tracking me to that point. And I've had a very, very, very busy fucking life, like a stupidly busy life. It's just another thing I don't have to think about when I'm flying around the fucking world. He tells me what to do. I execute it and report back in a week's time. You know?
Yeah. No, that's a lot better, because a lot of us, we almost like know too much for our own good.
Yeah.
So you become your own worst enemy, because a lot of times, like if you look at the best pros, they ain't got a fucking clue.
They're dumb. You're right, 100%.
Try and fucking like ask James Hollinshead why he's taking such and such. He doesn't fucking know. He's like, yeah, just because it works, you know.
I think one of my is. A lot of people say, oh, why did you leave Hilly, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, listen, me and him are such good fucking mates, yeah? I rang him the day before and fucking told him, do you know what I mean, straight up. I think when this is the thing, I know Hilly fucking 6 years, yeah? When I had Hilly as a coach, there was hardly any coaches. I messaged JP about a coach, he was like, go to Hilly. I was like, yeah, safe, mate. I didn't even know who the fuck he was. Messaged him on email, reply back to me, all right, mate, Sam, pay me here and I'll help you. And that was it. I never fucking met him.
Yeah.
And his business he used to work a fucking normal job. So we used to just talk normally. He didn't follow me back on Instagram or nothing. And after years, we become fucking mates. Came to my wedding. We started meeting up. Families meet together. Do you know what I mean? You end up becoming fucking friends. Sometimes it just happens. You can't stop it, right? And towards the end, D had fucking cancer. Everything was fucking fucked up. Who did I ring? I rang up him. That told me enough. It tells everyone enough what my relationship was. I rang him from my fucking parents. Do you know what I mean? And it's not a bad thing that we were too close. The problem was the guy had been teaching me for 6 years. He'd say to me, oh, Riz, let's do this. And eventually it became, what way should we do, Riz? And I'd say back to him, he'd be like, oh, what should we do, test or prima? I'll be like, let's just fuck the prima, let's just do the test. And it basically become, oh, Hilly, I'm going to do this. You just jump in when you need to. And it was my fault. It was my fault.
It was both of our faults. Well, it wasn't. It was just part of what happens in the sense of if someone is your friend before anything else, become too much, then you end up being a bit skewed. That's all it was. So I'd say, and it's funny, the things that I'd wanted Riz to change, that he didn't really want to change. When he moved to Martin changed the same shit. But because it was Martin, Riz was like, yeah, no problems. Riz messaged me, was like, Hilly, you told me to change that, but I didn't because it was you. So that was why it was a good move for Riz to change,
Yeah,
because he will then listen to Martin, and we discussed that before you fucking changed. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
So
yeah.
sometimes it is, and that's part of being a good coach. Part of being a good coach and good friends
Yeah.
is knowing what's best for both of you.
It's
If
also
someone's
removing the
having-
stigma of like, what's wrong with you for fucking coaches? Like, as long as there's no animosity there, like, there's nothing wrong with it. Like, I'm a firm believer in, if it's not broken, I'm never going to fix it. Like, and I think that's the problem in this such a saturated market. Like, it almost becomes petty because there's not enough clients to go around between coaches, so there's animosity there if you leave. And it's like, mate, I don't hate you. I just need a fresh flavor, or something new to try.
Yeah, I've heard clients sign up where they're like, oh, I was working with such and such, and he was having a go at me because I was leaving, and I was like, what the fuck? O2 doesn't have a go at you if you're moving to EE.
I know.
I've worked with different coaches, and I've worked with the same coach for a while. Like, if I loved working with Riz Decker, I love working with you. It's not like we're going to fall out if you decide you want to change coach.
Yeah,
Fucking hell. Do you know what I mean?
It's not like I come on YouTube and start ripping you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Right, Ryan, we're talking to you, bud. No, I'm joking.
no, it wasn't about him, bro. But bro, the thing is, yeah, a lot of people do not understand when you are not gonna blow smoke up my own ass, yeah. But I know more than most of these cocksuckers, yeah. And when someone tells me something to do and I don't like it, I'm not gonna listen. He'll be like, "Yo, mate, I want you to eat salmon. I want you to have gluten-free oats." I'll be like, "Nah, mate, I ain't having gluten-free oats. Fuck up my stomach. Salmon, nah, mate, fuck off, too expensive." Now Martin's like, "Oats." I'm like, "Yeah, son, fuck it." He's like, "Oh, I want salmon every day." I'm like, "Yeah, son, fuck it." He's like, "Oh, I need to order the supplement meat stack." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, son, just buy it." You know what I mean? I'm fucking eating strawberries, bro. I can't be asked for that shit. I just eat them. I just get on with it now.
I think that's a positive, though, man. Like, I think there is a time and a
But I
place for
like
that.
it.
Yeah, there's a time and a place for that. Like, you need that kind of, like, you say jump, I'll say how high,
Exactly.
especially in this game. Especially like when Dave said, we're all at a level when we know what we're doing. Like, you really have to remove yourself. And that's why I think it must be a nightmare to coach some of the high level coaches. Like, and this isn't slating them. Like, look at how many of the industry coaches have been through Cuba in the past 12 months. Cam, Jace, like, you can list every single one of them have gone through him. Joe Cross. And it's just because of that exact thing, isn't it? Like, when you know enough, you become very difficult to coach.
Yeah. And that's why I work with AJ, and I said this to both of you. I'm not going to ask to change anything. I'm not going to question anything. Whatever he says, if he says jump, I say how high. Because I did a post, I did an Instagram story on this. I've had a few clients lately that are just uncoachable. You're doing one thing and they're like, it's not working, I'm hiring you because I want to make more progress. So then I tell them what to do, and within a month or two, they're like, well, I think I maybe should go back to this. And you end up getting to a point where you're like, hang on, if we keep going back, you're going to be doing the same shit that you were doing before you fucking signed up with me.
Yeah.
That you told me wasn't fucking working. And this is what my whole video about it was like. If you're hiring a coach, you are hiring them because you know about them. You feel they know more information than you do.
Yeah.
You feel they will get you to where you want to be because you're not where you want to be. So obviously what you're doing isn't fucking working. So when you pay them the money to coach you, let them fucking coach you. Just be quiet, give them your feedback, and do as they say. And even if you don't agree with it, try it, run with it, give your feedback.
You almost
And that's that whole idea of having a fun coach. But when you get people that are coaches and that they watch too much YouTube shit and they listen to too many podcasts, they're like, well, what about this? Such and such does this. I said to someone the other week, I was like, well, go and fucking work with such and such. Like, fucking what have you couldn't work with me for if you want to know about what they're doing? And we can't go back to that because that's what you were doing before. It wasn't fucking working. Like,
It's like when
what have you hired me for?
When I was with Nathan for the short while, yeah, I had a few clients say, "Oh, Riz, can you send me over his training plan? I want to try that." And I was like, "Guys, I don't know if it's going to work. I'm trying it. I'm doing it. It's fucking long." And they were like, "Oh, yeah, but you're doing it. I want to do it." I was like, "Listen, just because I'm doing, a lot of coaches, they get this new plan, they give it off to all their clients. I didn't do that. I kept all their plans the same. And I'm so happy I did because they would have been you're fucking fucked, bro."
I still think it goes back to a lot, like, with the gem pop, or people just don't understand how long this shit takes. Like, they see a sick transformation and they think, this kid looks a bit like me, he acts a bit like me, he's probably having 2 Burger Kings a week, going out on a piss with his lads, raining lines of packet and shagging prostitutes on a Saturday. But they don't realise that, like, it's the complete opposite. Like I said, like, it's 7 days a week, 24/7. Like, you don't miss. And like, they see those transformations and they're like, I could probably do this and half-ass it. Oh, it's not work with this coach, I'll go to the next coach. They probably have the secret. And the realistic is, even if you're at this 110%, it's taken you 5 fucking years. Like that's a fact, and that's not to win the Olympia. That's to probably have a physique that you're half happy with, you know.
But I always said since day one, yeah, if I win a show, yeah, any show, bro, to me that's like an Olympia, bro. And I would take that and I will run with it. I'll be happy. So there are people they're not even winning an amateur show and they're talking about fucking, you know what I mean, winning this fucking in Spain and this and that. It's a lot of bullshit, bro. A lot of these guys, they were
I need to
fucking
get my last. I need to get my last meal in, lads, and go fucking bed. So I'm gonna have to bounce.